I'm here at White Oak Church today with John Wethington, the lead pastor, and we're going to find out a little bit more about his church today. Okay, so John, good afternoon.
Hey there, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I've been watching these, by the way, so
Yeah?
I'm excited to finally be on one. I love the interview. So
I'm so excited
Yeah.
to be here and interview you. So
Yeah.
we met John a couple weeks ago at his church. We
Yeah.
came for the first time as visitors and just loved his sermon.
Yeah.
So
And the Avid Coffee guy goes to this church as well. So
yes, Avid Coffee.
yeah.
Go buy some.
He's my good friend. Get
right
his
now.
in.
After this interview.
Yeah.
Okay, so John, tell us a little bit about the history of White Oak Church, because you've been a part of it.
Yeah,
for
so I grew up here my whole life. White Oak, it's really cool, was actually started in 1938.
I did not know that.
So legit 80 years ago. And the cool thing about White Oak is that it has basically grown with the community through all the things it's been through. So when it was a rural area, it was a rural church. When it was suburban, a suburban church. When the area transitioned, and now an urban church. And so it's been around.
So before this neighborhood was even
When they
here.
bought this land, it was literally just horses on it. Like
Wow.
it was like a horse farm. So so it really grew with the area. And just to be honest, a big part of our story is in the 1970s, there were some kind of leadership failures that happened. And so the church really kind of went through some really hard times, and really for the next 40 years struggled to kind of regain its composure. And back in 2013, there was a small group of us that were left here. And this sanctuary we're in right now was actually shut down. We couldn't afford to run the AC. And so we were meeting over in our gym, and really not a great setup. But a group of us came together and said we wanted to be a part of the redemption of it, and attendance has doubled. Opened a successful preschool, a lot of new people from the community, and it's gone really well, and we think we're just getting started. So it's kind of a cool redemption story.
It is, and you grew up in the church, right?
Yeah, I grew up
in the
here,
church.
and have the privilege of being the pastor now, which is, they gave me the keys, so it's awesome.
So what led you to that decision?
Well, I didn't grow up thinking I was going to be a pastor. I didn't even know that was a real job growing up. I thought that was, only weird people did that, if I'm honest,
Yeah.
I was in a band growing up and did a lot of music stuff. I got a degree in business in college. And really the only way it worked out was I was doing the music here when I was in college, just helping out. And some people said, man, I think you should consider it. You might be a good fit for this. And so I tried it out, and it went really well. And then the real reason why I became the pastor here is because I was the associate pastor when the previous guy left, when things had kind of hit rock bottom. And they said, I was 24 at the time when I became the pastor. They're like, we know you're really young, but we want to grow with you. And so it was kind of God's calling, but also just out of necessity, which I think is where a lot of the good callings are born.
Yeah.
So it wasn't my plan,
For sure, but
it worked
you're
out.
a perfect fit
Yeah,
for it,
thank
we
you.
feel. Yeah.
Thank you.
So what do you like most being about a leader?
This is the easiest question for me. My favorite part of being a leader is helping people find their new day, like helping people grow and become the people they never thought they could be is my absolute favorite part of leadership. One of the things we say here at White Oak is come as you are, but don't expect to stay that way. We all want to be growing and developing as people, and I just love sitting down with people and helping them find like all that God has for their life and all their potential. And sometimes that's hard for people because we're kind of comfortable where we're at.
Yeah.
But we've got people in the church who just showed up because they were looking for a good church for their kids, or they were just needing some help. They showed up, and a year later they're leading and growing in their knowledge. And so I just love seeing people kind of coming to their next step in their new day and just being a part of that process. So helping people grow and
rewarding.
evolve.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so what do your church members, you think, what do they like most about being members of White Oak?
Oh man, I thought of two things. Number one, I think when people come to White Oak, they're very surprised at what they find. I think a lot of times when you go to church in the neighborhood, maybe it's just a bunch of older people, or just a bunch of young. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they come in, they're like, oh my goodness, they like the life and the energy. I think people like that it's a church that's close to home, that's vibrant. And the second thing is like it really feels like family here at White Oak. We say it's, what do we say? It's big enough to grow you, but small enough to know you. It's one of our taglines, yeah. So I didn't come up with it, but someone else did. And it just really feels like family. And if you come to White Oak, like you'll actually be known by the people, and all the people love that.
I love that. The first part I can totally
were like,
relate
yeah,
to.
yeah,
I felt that
exactly.
when we came to visit.
People
Yeah.
are like, oh my goodness, you know.
Yeah,
so
it was,
I think,
it was great.
yeah. So and that's what we love. We want to be a small church, but we also want to reach new people. So I feel like
Yeah.
it's a really good combination.
I think y'all are doing a really good job.
Well, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah.
So one more question.
Yeah.
What are your favorite things about Oak Forest?
Okay, so I'm really excited to share this part
Mm-hmm.
because I've shared this with my church, and people. I shared this 3 years ago, and people still bring it up to me. I believe you can make a logical case that Oak Forest is the best neighborhood in the universe.
Okay.
And I want to make that case really quick
Okay.
before we close our time together. So there's like this massive universe, right?
Right.
And as far as we know now, we're the only planet that has life. So that
Right.
makes us kind of the best planet in some ways, I would imagine. Maybe we'll discover different someday. So we're the only planet that has life. And then within that planet that has life, of all the countries we could live in, we live in the United States of America, which is like the best nation, right? I mean,
I
people would
agree.
argue,
agree.
no one's leaving it. We
No.
all want to be here. And then of all the states in that best nation and the best planet that you could live in, we live in Texas.
I was born in California, but
Okay, but you got to Texas.
I did.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and
I think I can get on board. I think I can finally
California's
get on
number
board with
2.
this.
You could be number 2. It's okay.
I think
yeah,
I can
yeah,
finally get on
yeah,
board with
yeah,
Texas being
yeah.
number 1.
But we're like the best state. We were like I think maybe the only state that was ever our own nation for a while.
We are.
So
Yes,
I
we
mean,
are.
that makes you pretty amazing.
True.
And so we're in the best planet in the galaxy or the universe, and the best nation and the best state. And then of all the cities we live in Houston, which is the biggest city, right? The best economy.
Fourth biggest, but yeah.
No, the biggest city in Texas, though.
In Texas,
you're right.
you're
yeah,
right,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
right.
yeah. Biggest city in Texas,
You're right.
and it's the most diverse city in
the most
America.
diverse city,
Austin
yep.
says it's diverse, but we're actually diverse.
We
Okay,
are.
just throw that in there. Shots fired. But and then we're in the best city, right? Best economy. I think best place to raise a family. Obviously, a lot of people like being here.
Yep.
And then lastly, of all the neighborhoods in this city that you could be in, we're in Oak Forest. And the reason, which to answer your question, why I
Yep.
think it's the best, is because Oak Forest gives you the best possible blend of urban and suburban living.
Oh, I like that.
And
yeah.
I've grown up here
You're
my whole
right.
life, and that's always been the case, and it's still the case. Like, people think they have to choose between the city and the suburbs. It's like the city's got all the stuff, but the suburbs are affordable with the schools, and people don't like the city because it's too cramped. People don't like the suburbs because it's boring, you
Yeah.
know? And Oak Forest really offers a blend of both of those things. Meyerland, I think, is a close second, good place to
Yeah.
live as well, but I think Oak Forest gives people both of what they often want. You don't have to choose. You can live close to everything, have all
And
the
we don't
diversity.
flood as bad as Maryland.
We don't flood. Oh,
So
true.
we've got
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
seriously. But then also you can have a yard, raise your family. I grew up here, had a great experience. I went to all the school. I went to Waltrip High School.
Yeah.
And so you get the best of urban and suburban living. And so we live in the best neighborhood, in the best city, in the best
Okay.
state, in the best nation, the best world.
I
So,
totally agree with you.
So that's
100%.
what I love about Oak Forest. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, John, it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.
It's
to be
really
honest.
been good getting to know you, so I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
And we'll get this up soon.
Awesome.
Yeah, for everyone to get to know about you.
Thanks so much.